Hey everybody, Dylan Distraction here, coming to you live from Batlantic Studios. Thought I'd do a quick back to drawing board shirts on my drawing table and verses. I'm going to do a 3-issue verses series. And so I've done some of the artwork traditionally. So like this is all pencil traditionally and then scanned in. So this is all in Procreate, and this is another scanned in, drawn traditionally, pencils on paper. And I think I've shown some of these, but these are what the inks are going to look like. So all digitally inked. And I'm thinking this is going to be the covers for the 3 issues, possibly. I'm not completely sure, but I wanted to kind of just show you in Procreate how I work on stuff. So this is the rough outline of what I want to have happen. And then just go through and kind of start thumbnailing things. So this is what my thumbnails look like, just kind of the beats, what's happening on issue 1, what's happening on issue 2, what's happening on issue 3. And then going in and just kind of doing tighter pencils. So I can show you some of these tighter pencils. So you get a sneak peek behind the scenes. So these are all digital pencils, digital pencils, digital pencils, digital pencils. And then these are where I'm at currently. These are the pages I'm working on now. And so I thought it'd be just kind of fun to change things up, mix it up, do a little digital drawing here. So I have a couple of pre-saved brushes I like to use. Right now I usually go in and do a really rough pass, and then I'll go back through and kind of block in where the primitive shapes are. Start to kind of figure out anatomy, facial structure, but this is all real kind of just behind the scenes, how the sausage is made. Some people might be like, oh, that's awesome, I love seeing this part of the process, and some people might be like, well, this just looks like gibberish. So if this isn't something you're terribly interested in, that's fine, but this is what I'm working on today, and I wanted to shoot some video, so I was like, oh, no, I just kind of show what this looks like. People might get a kick out of seeing this. The other thing I do during this part of the process is I look at a lot of stuff that's I'm influenced by. So I was looking at a lot of Greg Capullo pencils, looking at some Paul Pelletier pencils, looking at David Finch pencils. They have these unwrapped editions, which I absolutely love. And just kind of having one of those open nearby on the drawing table, you're like, oh man, it just inspires me to put in that level of detail and really focus on really kind of figuring out stuff and not shortcutting anything, you know, really trying to give everything its proper amount of energy and attention. I do like when stuff feels energetic. I do like when stuff feels active. I do want there to be a lot of motion and movement and energy in my work and my pencils and my inks and everything. But I don't want it to feel lazy or like I cut corners. You know, if anything, I like the cartooniness. I don't want to overdraw. I don't want to over render. I don't want to make anything too muddy or excessive, you know, but I like some sort of like cleaner stuff. But you know, like the Jack Kirby stuff, or you look at Joe Kubert stuff, that idea of like only throwing down those lines that are important and not. I love Stephen Platt. I love, you know, that sort of over-rendered sort of look, but I don't know if that is the best kind of way for me to go with my stuff. Todd McFarlane, another guy who just puts in, you know, a lot of lines, really trying to render the heck out of stuff. And with me, I like that look, but I prefer like bigger areas of black, like Frank Miller, Sin City kind of stuff. So I'm always trying to kind of find that balance of rendering, of shading, of throwing down exciting lines, having it be active and energetic, but not just madness, chaos. So I hope everybody's doing great. I had a lot of fun doing those Spawn sample pages. Those are pages that are available right now. If you go to DylanAndrewsArt.com, those were all done for fun. And I'd love to work on projects like Spawn. If there's a project you think I'd be a good fit for, please reach out. looking to find some stuff. Obviously, I'm going to keep working on my own creator-owned stuff, and that's what all this is, but I'd love to find out if there's any projects out there that people think I'd be a good fit for. So reach out, DylanAndrewsArt.com, MakeComicsCool.com, that's my Patreon, Dylan Distraction, that's my YouTube channel. And yeah, I'd love to talk to people if there's something that they think I'd be a good fit for. That's really what it boils down to. If you see artists and stuff, people's work that you're like, oh man, that doesn't make any sense. You know, it's like, why would you have this incredible creator working on this thing that doesn't work with what they do? And I think that we get into that a lot with, like, sometimes writers, you know, if the writer and the artist are different, they might think, oh yeah, I'll do a whatever story, people driving across country and they talk about their feelings, and those can be great stories. They can be really powerful, really interesting, sort of the dynamic of people, you know, traveling in a car and seeing the sights. You know, I like that kind of auto-bio sort of stories. Those can be really fun. I don't think I'd be the kind of artist that would draw that terribly interestingly. You know, that really requires a different skill set. So anytime I do samples or I show my work, I like to try to make sure I'm drawing stuff that would be relevant to the kind of comics I like to read. And I like to read 90s Chromium Age, action, over the top sort of genres of books. So stuff like Spawn or X-Force or anything by Rob Liefeld or anything by Greg Capullo, right? Like Creech. See that Greg Capullo's working on new Creech issues. I'm like, oh man, I love Creech. Thing about Greg Capullo stuff that initially was a little... He took over on X-Force after Rob Liefeld kind of set the tone for that book. And his stuff was, I look at it now and I'm like, oh, I didn't get it. Like, he's playing chess, and I'm used to looking at checkers. Like, he was doing stuff, it just felt cartoony to me. And then he went over and did Spawn after Todd McFarlane, and again, I didn't get it. Like, I was like, oh man, I love Todd, and I love the McFarlane energy, and this stuff feels less or different or somehow. And then once they started kind of combining with Capullo and McFarlane doing inks over Capullo's pencils, it still was like, oh, this is a weird sort of cartoony. I didn't really get it. And now looking back at it, I'm like, oh, I was an idiot. Like, I didn't see it. I didn't catch just how much more advanced Capullo was as a storyteller, as a penciler. And even when he was on his Batman stuff, it took me a while to be like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. And now I love it. But especially seeing his raw pencil work, because you're just like, oh yeah, no, that's so good. And just the way he's able to kind of loosely and quickly throw in shapes and forms, and his stuff feels kinetic. You know, obviously everyone that's, you know, seen Capullo's work is he's a genius. And but at the time he was following some heavy hitters, and that's tough. You know, it's like, it's tough to be the next guy. Tough to be the guy after the guy. Almost better to, and he never really worked on, you know, that creator-owned stuff like Creech. That was his own thing, but he was always kind of following. So then after he did his Batman run, started doing some more independent stuff. He did a Mark Millar story called Reborn, which I have read parts of, but I just couldn't get into it. I don't think I've ever finished it. Looks cool though. And Haunt, he did Haunt, which was, again, that was kind of a combo, him, Ryan Otley, some different, McFarlane was doing something on that, maybe covers. Again, not something I ever finished, I don't think. The story just didn't really grab me. Cool looking character. But we get into that sort of zone, and I'm still kind of in that zone now where I love looking at comics, but when it comes to actually sit down and read, it's like it's tough right now. I don't have the bandwidth, as they say. I don't have the bandwidth to be able to just sit and read comics. And I heard it explained once that buying a book isn't just buying the enjoyment of having this object, right? That's part of it. Having this beautiful piece of art and creativity. That's part of it. The other part of it is you're purchasing the opportunity to sit quietly in the future and have time to read, right? So you're purchasing the opportunity to sit quietly in the future and have the chance to read. And that is 100% what I'm buying, right? I want that. I want to be able to just kind of sit back, shut off my brain, and get lost in something. And as you get older, you have more responsibilities, as you want to try to get stuff done. You have more things pulling at you for your time and attention. It gets really hard. Like even right now, I could be sitting reading quietly, but I'm doing this. I was like, nah, I should shoot some video, because DylanDistraction.com, that's my YouTube channel, and I'm trying to post videos all the time. Like I want to have stuff every day. And I can't do multiple videos a day. That would, unless they're really quick, quick hits. But I could probably put out one video a day. If I shoot, like I'm going to be working on this anyway, I can just talk while I'm working on this. So it does get tough as, when I was younger, I think I had and also there's less distractions too. So when I was younger, growing up, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have television that was any good. We had television, but it wasn't any good. There was Saturday morning cartoons, and then that was it. There was a lot of news and MASH. There's old reruns of Star Trek, which I was not interested in, and MASH. And then on the weekend, I would watch Doctor Who super late at night in black and white. And that was pretty much your television options. So, yeah, we got a VHS player pretty early. And so we'd rent a lot of movies. But even that, like, the thing you wanted to rent was never in. It was always out. And you'd be like, can you check the Dropbox and see if somebody dropped it? And they'd be like, oh yeah, you're in luck. We just had one returned. It's in the box. We haven't put it out yet. And I'd be like, yes. Sweet. I get to see, that's a movie. The Dark Crystal. Is that a movie? Or what's another 80s movie? Yes, sweet. I get to see Rick Moranis in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Or Inner Space. Or some other crappy good movie. Stuff like that. But comic books were the best form of entertainment. They didn't require anything. The entry was cheap. They were available anywhere. You grab one or two and then just read them and read them and read them and read them and read them. And people don't understand that today, and they don't have that same experience. But I would carry around a lunchbox just filled with comic books everywhere. Every car ride, every time I left the house, I would just have a lunchbox filled with comics, so that I wouldn't get bored. Because, man, we were bored. Kids today, I sound like an old guy. Kids today, they don't know what it's like. Back in my day, we didn't have face chat and YouTubes. We had comic books and art supplies. And you'd take a pencil and a piece of paper and you'd make your own toys. That's another old man thing I would do. I loved the Marvel. They had these Marvel handbooks that showed all the characters. So you could get them photocopied at school, and then I'd cut them out and glue them onto cardboard and have my own action figures. That's how poor I was. That's how boring. That's how terrible real toys were. That it was preferred to photocopy from a Marvel handbook and create your own action figure out of cardboard. That's true. That I did quite a bit. And then you try to like, I'd always draw in the comics. That was a constant. I'd always be drawing Wolverine's claws popped out whenever he had his claws in. I'm like, well, he should have his claws out. Frank Miller, what do you know? So I'd draw his claws out on all those Frank Miller comics. Yeah, so that's pretty standard stuff. But the thing is, with all those 80s comics I had, they were beat to crap. And I sold them all, and I regret selling them, but, you know, whatever, life goes on. But I have a lot of my 90s comics still, because those ones I started taking care of. The 80s comics I had were just, I told you, I'd take them everywhere, and just draw on them, and fold the covers over, and crinkle them, roll them up, stick them in your back pocket. Like, they were not precious at all. And so I got rid of them because they were just kind of turning to dust. The thing about a lot of those 80s books too is that printed just so cheaply that the paper just started falling apart. You know, they were not meant to be as handled as roughly as I handled them. I'm not a delicate person. So, yeah, that's just kind of fun stuff to think about. I think about that stuff as I'm sitting and drawing, talking to myself. So yeah, I hope wherever you are, you're having an awesome day. This is Versus, my creator-owned comic book. If you want to see more of this character, go to batlanticstore.com. You can grab The Oppressors, and this character Versus is featured prominently in the series The Oppressors. Archive Universe, I have a few copies of that left, but running low. So if you want to grab a copy of Archive Universe, you should hurry up, because only a few of those left. Went through quite a few of them. So, and this is always kind of a tough thing with me too. Is it's like, I like rendering, I like anatomy, I like trying to figure out anatomy and rendering and stuff. But with fabric and clothing, I tend to over render sometimes, and sometimes you just gotta let this fabric be fabric. So like here I had like muscles and stuff, and it's like, nah, probably just let that be a black, I think I had it be a black golf shirt. Yeah, it's better. Just let that fabric be fabric. That's not a Greg Capullo thing. Doesn't over render stuff. He renders stuff, but it's not like he's putting in stuff where it doesn't need to be. Like, he'd probably do these pants straight out black. I guess I could do that. Might look cool. It might clash with the thing behind it. I don't know. I'm still kind of working on it, figuring it out. I'll get it. So yeah, this is about the speed I draw. This is how I do pencils. And I could go back and do another pass and make them even tighter if there's things I'm like, I don't know, does that look right? But for the most part, I just want to kind of get it down onto paper. Again, it's going with that whole energetic, enthusiastic, don't overthink it. It's not precious. It's comic book art. Draw it to the best of your ability. Move on to the next thing. Always keep the pencil moving. Have fun. Yarr. And it's a little distorted because the camera's at an angle. I'm drawing it on iPad. So a little disorienting probably, but hopefully you're enjoying watching this. Thanks so much to everybody to watches my stuff. Please like, subscribe, thumbs up, comment. Always interesting to hear what people are responding to on my YouTube channel. So DylanDistraction.com, that's my YouTube channel. Make Comics Cool, that's my Patreon. I'd love to have everybody sign up for $1. That would really be awesome. Try to post stuff there. Try to send people stuff that are patrons, longtime patrons. It's always trying to grow that. It's a really great source of revenue to comic book creators. Because as you know, right now, it's tough to get things consistent, or it's great to be able to reach fans, readers directly and have them support your work. So if you like my work and you want to support it, Make Comics Cool for $1 is great. And BatlanticStore.com is great if you like this. You want to get commissions or original art or merch or my comic books, then go to BatlanticStore.com, Dylan Andrews Art, DylanDistraction.com, my YouTube channel, Make Comics Cool. I think that's it. That's all my links. Please like, subscribe, share, thumbs up. All right. Bye.